Hey, you crazy cats! 42's live streams and videos are simply not available on vinyl. You will have to go to the YouTubes for that. So if you want content about British traditions and culture, cutting-edge social commentary from an unapologetically patriotic perspective, along with a side order of madness you simply will not find anywhere else, then this is the place for you. And to all those early adapters in the chat, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That's how you get the good stuff and make sure you never miss a tasty treat. So with that being said and done, squeeze yourself in. Let's get into it. You know you want to. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good evening. What the fuck is happening? Why am I not here? What the hell? Hello. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good evening. Please delete as applicable. Is this fucking working? Can I get an audio check? What the hell's going on? Hello. Is this right? I'm getting 5x5. I don't know what the hell's going on with this because I should be in the middle and large, and I'm not for some reason. And right, change layout to full screen. Right, whenever I do that, sound to sound. But where the hell am I? Ha! I found it. They have changed the settings. Oh my god. Sorry about that, people. Right. No, we've got it. Oh fuck. Sorry. Right. Starting again. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide. Time zones are indeed a thing, and StreamYard changing their fucking setup is also apparently a thing. And I'm sorry about the last couple of minutes, but here we go. I'm going to say a couple of hellos to the people in the chat. First in is Mr. Benton. What about you, chum? But I've to reply to your email yet, but yes, we will get that all sorted out. Thank you. Anglo-Saxon, evening, brother. Hope you're doing well. Mr. Burger, the man with the funniest comments on YouTube. Love your work, brother. Brian Murray, a voice in the desert, is here. Rich, what about you, chum? Really glad you're here. Thanks for dropping in. Courage is the cure. What about you, Robin? Really glad to have you here. Budgie sounds fine. And Sheila's the dots in. And she's here to start. Good evening. Right. Okay. That's that sorted out and everything's going good. What we're going to do is a little bit of housekeeping. I really ought to get links sorted out so I can drop them in the chat. I will think about that for next time. But there's Amanda Lee's in. Evening, welcome aboard. Who we're going to shout out? First off, Ragnar Iron Spear and Jack London. I believe we'll be streaming tomorrow night. I'm guessing they're going to have a guest because that's our normal form. So there's that. Other couple of shows that I'd like to shout out. One is RPW Media. Click his channel, jump over and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Does really good coverage of what's going on in America, all the madness. The guy has lightning quick recall and memory and a really good conversationalist. So get yourself over there for that. Nice friendly chat as well. And the other one is Robin from Courage is a Cure from down Australia, was on the show at the start of the year for Australia Day. If you want kept up to date with what's going on in the world of woke and different things around the world and the legal madness, Robin's your girl for that. Again, click the link, hit subscribe if you haven't already done so. And the other show that I like to give a shout out to is the one, the only, the Dave Waffle House, the home of the Friday night duck race, the best duck race on the internet. Really good crowd, brilliant place to hang out. Everybody's very friendly. Get involved with duck race. You can win ducks during the show by commenting or being first to say 420. You can get free ducks by commenting beneath any of the videos. And you can indeed buy ducks. And as some people have stated out that Dave is grifting off the ducks, I want to help him. And please be advised, if you wish to give me a super chat, just pop over to Dave's, buy me a fucking duck, let it quack down, and win the bastard race. Okay, that being said, yeah, it's a really good show. There was an open duck race last night, by the way. Anybody that turned up, all you had to do was comment in the chat, you got a duck. One duck per person, very even field, and Benton did not win. Script actually, Freezy Peach won. It was brilliant. So there you go. If you need the link for the Waffle House, just click on the bit on that and take you over and get yourself subscribed if you haven't already done so. And with that, I'm going to have the first musical interlude. And I've got a question. While this is playing, if you know this song, have heard of this song or whatever, please put a yes in the chat. And if you haven't, obviously put a no. Okay. This is a Yorkshire song, because I think it's about time we all get a little bit yeah, I think it's time we all get to know our traditional music. Here we go. Bit of Yorkshire.
Where hast thou been since I saw thee on Ilklamo Batat? Where hast thou been since I saw thee? Where hast thou been since I saw thee? On Ilklamo Batat, on Ilklamo Batat, on Ilklamo Batat. There's been a courty Mary Jane on Ilklamo Batat. There's been a courty Mary Jane, there's been a courty Mary Jane. On Ilklamo Batat, on Ilklamo Batat, on Ilklamo Batat. They'll go and get the death a cowl on Ilklamo Batat. They'll go and get the death a cowl, they'll go and get the death a cowl. On Ilklamo Batat, on Ilklamo Batat, on Ilklamo Batat. Then we shall have to bury thee on Ilklamo Batat. Then we shall have to bury thee, then we shall have to bury thee. On Ilklamo Batat, on Ilklamo Batat, on Ilklamo Batat. Then the worms will come and net thee up on Ilklamo Batat. Then the worms will come and net thee up, then the worms will come and net thee up on ilklmo batat, on ilklmo batat, on ilklmo batat. Then to ducks will come and net up to worms, on ilklmo batat. Then to ducks will come and net up to worms, then to ducks will come and net up to worms, on ilklmo batat, on ilklmo batat, on ilklmo batat. Then us'll come and net up to ducks, on ilklmo batat. Then us'll come and net up to ducks, then us'll come and net up to ducks, on ilklmo batat, on ilklmo batat, on ilklmo batat. Then us'll all have it and thee, on ilklmo batat. Then us'll all have it and thee, then us'll all have it and thee, on ilklmo batat, on ilklmo batat, on ilklmo batat. That's where we'll get our Owen back, on ilklmo batat. That's where we'll get our Owen back, that's where we'll get our Owen back, on ilklmo batat, on ilklmo batat, on ilklmo batat.
All right, there we go. Brad was busy munching on pizza and forgot about the stream. Oh, what about you, Sean? Yes, it is indeed beautiful scenery. Courage has not heard of it, but she is in Australia. She is in Australia. Budgie Burger had never, uh, and Amanda Lee. Yeah, I'm very sorry for your loss, Amanda. And if the right words existed, I would say them. I am sorry for your loss, and I hope that having your father's memory brought up wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Or probably butchered what I wanted to say, but yeah. Where have you been since I saw you last? And been out courting Mary Jane, and then you catch your death of cold, and then you die, and then we bury you, then the worms eat you, then the ducks eat the worms, then we eat the ducks, and then we've ate you. And that is the fate of the invader to this land. So there you go. But what I wanted to do was I came across that, and I thought wanted to put it out and find out how many people have actually heard it, because there seems to be a disconnect with England and its culture and traditions and history and their old songs and stuff. Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, there seems to be a disconnect. What we're going to talk about tonight is mainly Lent, and what I also want to do with these festivals is show where and how they fit into the natural year. As you know, I've been following the natural year this year, heading back, trying to do more of what we would have traditionally done. This is something that I've found recently. The more that I live the way my father lived, the happier I seem to be. And I've been going back and looking at the structure and whatnot. So I did a proper Christmas, a proper Yule, where I had a good look at everything previously and did my New Year's resolutions and all the things that I wanted to put in place and do more of, do things I wanted to do less of. And that's where everybody starts off the year with the modern year, with their New Year resolutions. Lent falls a couple of months into the year. Now, in the pagan tradition, it's a period of the year where you would be making you would be making your preparations for May Day and the Feast of Death and Rejuvenation, and getting your prep ready for that. And historically, that required quite a bit of preparation. You had to gather food, you had to gather all sorts of stuff, and in order to make sure that you had the stuff to have a proper May Day, you would have to curtail what you were doing during these 2 months, during this period of time, and also have your behaviors up them. Are you on track? Now, Lent does a very similar feature whereby it comes at that time of the year and it's a period of reflection. So the two the two behaviors are the same, and if you actually do this, it does improve your life. You become more organized, is what I'm finding, and we'll get more into that now. But for that's the little bit about where it sits in the natural year. And with that, I'm going to go into um, history of Lent. Before I start, even you all pretty much came from uh, either Britain, Commonwealth countries, or America, which is still which came out of a Commonwealth country, or culturally similar. Uh, Before I start this, just give me a rough idea how familiar you are with the traditions of Lent and what the symbology means and that whole process. Very little, or do you think you already know most of it, or do you believe you're going to get a lot of new information? That would be the easy way of saying it. So I'm curious about that. And with that, I will get the first link up, which is a short version of the long history of Lent. Brad's on it with Jesus wandering in the desert. That is heavily involved. Sorry, I am just going to have a check at this. Not got a Scooby. See, here's the interesting thing. You all grew, definitely, if you grew up in England, you grew up in a country with a state religion of the Church of England, and you were supposed to know all of this before you left primary school, and know it to such a level that you would never forget it, and that you would have the good working understanding of it. Maybe not all the ins and outs, but all of the basics. You're supposed to know that by the time you leave school. And the fact that people, particularly of Pack's age, and that's not being ageist or whatnot, it's saying that if we're going to say that the schools are failing in teaching the basics of English culture and traditions and what we do in this country, we also need to say that they've been doing that for quite a long time, because Paca went to school whenever that you would have expected that to be part of the course. Linda, that's a good thing. You don't want cards from your ex, but that is funny. Very good, Amanda. Amanda is all over it. She's upholding it. And Sheila's on the ball with it symbolizes Jesus 40, 40 days, 40 nights in the wilderness. So, and Pack is on it to Wednesday. Right. Okay. Yep, Amanda's out preaching, teaching teaching people about Pancake Day on Tuesday. Excellent, very good. Right, we're going to go with the short version of the long history of Lent, and this website is Groundwork. That's what it's called. As a fairly recent student of the history of Lent, I wondered how can I tell the story of Lent in the context of the vast history of a Christian church spanning nearly 2 millennia? With all of this out of schism, reformations, counter-reformations, and revivals, it has definitely not been an easy task, but I hope that this overview is a helpful primer for those looking to learn more, which is what exactly you want out of an overview. You don't want to learn everything, but you want to get the basics. This is about the history of Lent. So, as you may have guessed, from its inception to the modern day, the practices have changed. So we're going to see where we started off with and where we've got to. Beginning about 6 weeks before Easter, Lent is a time traditionally set aside for fasting, prayer, and reflection in preparation to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It is one of the most enduring seasons of the Christian, calendar, and some elements dating to perhaps earlier than the 2nd century, whilst observed for centuries by Catholic, Orthodox, Lutheran, Anglican, Episcopalian, and Methodist Christians, and certainly others. Lantern traditions and practices have evolved over time, yet in spite of turbulent church history, to say nothing about the ebb and flow of human migration, the rise of kingdoms, decline, and empires, the essence of Lent remains largely unchanged from its earliest history. In recent years, Lent has seen a renewal among evangelical Christians who have been historically wary of some of its trappings. And I am going to get into this. We talk about Britain routinely as a Christian country. I hope this is not a thing saying I'm muted. It's not. For a minute there, I thought I was muted, but I'm not. Thank fuck for that. While I came here, sorry, just checking through the chat. Right. Yep, people talk about Britain as a Christian country. Christianity is not a religion. Catholicism is. You can be an Orthodox Christian, that's a religion on its own. A Lutheran, Anglican, Episcopalian, Methodists, Church of England, Church of England, Church of Ireland. The Anglicans covers Church of England, Church of Ireland, all of that sort of guys. So, and there are important differences between the different teachings within the Christian Church, and because Anglicans and Church of England have a opinion of nothing that's not in the gospel, a lot of the trappings of Lent that come from the Vatican and the Church of Rome, they avoid. Historians generally agree that the 40-day period before Easter, known as Lent, emerged shortly following the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. Now, do you want to know why it would have come out of that council? By the way, the Council of Nicaea 325 AD was in a place called Nicaea. The council is a meeting of the higher echelons of the Church of Rome. And at that council, they decided upon the date of Easter within the calendar. So they went, right, Easter's going to be on this date. And they paired it along with something that's not Christian because the date changes every year. And it's connected to the cycle of the moon. So I'm going to guess that they didn't crucify Jesus on a different day each year. So therefore, there's some other ceremony at the back of it, possibly pagan. Who knows? Possibly Jewish. Who knows? Earliest observations of Lent seem to have focused particularly on the practice of fasting. The council record suggests that the fast applied at first mainly to new converts as a period of repentance and reflection before baptism at Easter. So what would happen is at Easter, the new converts would be getting baptized for the first time, going through this ceremony, and they would spend 40 days and 40 nights fasting to practice before it. But then it became a more widespread thing. Yes, in Britain, there are people currently that are fasting in various formats that do not end up on the news because they're not involved in Ramadan. It's not the only fasting game in town. In any case, Lent quickly became a general practice church-wide. The actual 40-day period varied religion to region, even church to church. Some included weekends, some did not. Some fasting Sundays, others not. But in every case, the fast was strict. 1 meal a day after 3 p.m. with no meat, fish, or dairy. It was Pope Gregory I who finally regularized the period of the fast church-wide to begin on Wednesday for 46 days before Easter with a ceremony of Ash, and not to include Sundays, which were perennial days of celebration. So we've decided that we're going to have our fast, but we're going to have Sundays off from it. And that's how we got our 40 days. Other historical records indicate that a pre-Easter season of fasting had actually been in practice as far back as the 2nd century, or perhaps even earlier. In the History of Lent, Father William Sundries writes that early church father St. Ignatius, in a letter to the Pope, Victor mentioned a dispute about the number of days for a pre-Easter fast. Ignatius noted that such variation and observation did not originate in our own day, but very much earlier and in the time of our forefathers. So what they're saying is that there was already in Europe a set fast around about this time of year that they imposed Lent on top of and then solidified the dates. Latinus himself was a 3rd-generation disciple after the apostles, so his dating of Lysina fasting back to the time of his forefathers establishes it as a practice from the very earliest days of the church. Ignatius' letter references the idea of a fasting lasting 40 days before Easter, strongly suggesting the concept predates Ignatius' own time. Jesus fasting 40 days and 40 nights in the desert to prepare for his public ministry is thought to be the primary inspiration for such a time frame. Following Nicaea, Lenten practices remained essentially unchanged for centuries. However, by the 800s, the strictness of the fast began to relax. By the 1400s, Christians had begun eating the 1 meal earlier in the day, and later began to add a smaller meal to keep up the strength for work. See, this is it. This is why borders and boundaries are important, because if you have a boundary and it's like from this time of day to this time of day, I do not eat. That's just how it is. And then you start to change it a little bit. You've then opened the gate to $1,000 questions of, can I do this as well? Can I do that? Can I do the other? So this is why discipline and strictness needs to be absolute. And I'm going to get back to that. Eventually, the 1 meal restriction was lifted altogether, and the new practices emerged, like the idea of giving up some luxury or need as a personal sacrifice for the reason over time giving something up became the centerpiece of Lent. That's as far as I'm going to go with this history because it's got the bit that I wanted to get to. 1 second, I need to cough. Right. Yep. Yep. That's what I wanted to get to with the history and where most of us would understand Lent to be, as in you give something up for Lent. And what I will say is, if you do that, for 40 days over Lent, give up snacks or takeaways or whatever it is you've been overindulging in, it will give you the reset that you need because you haven't done it for a while. And it will be quite amazing the amount of extra money you've got because you will find out exactly where you've been wasting all your money on. And it turns out that 42 had been spending a lot of 42's money on fucking hamburgers and egg and sausage sodas and other such stuff, which become quite expensive whenever you get them cooked in someone else's kitchen professionally for you when you can do the same fucking thing at home. Yeah, it's almost like they have Rick, it's almost like they've copied each other. It's almost like they've we we need to order a festival. How do people do a festival? Oh, we'll copy that one. Anglo, no, I'm very I'm very stuck on where we got to at 1688 being where we should have stopped. With William and Orange and the Glorious Revolution, and just maintain the laws and rules that we put in there. Maybe an extra 4 or 5 years to the end of Mary's reign at the most, and that's where I think we would have been best served. It's whenever we began changing the stuff that makes the country work that we got all the problems. Ice White Shuts in. What about you, Sean? Glad to have you aboard. Right. So now that's the history of Lent, and now we're going to have the overview of how it's observed. And this is from Christianity.com. Oh, Rick, I really like JD Vance. He's good man. I do like him. He's the more I hear him say, the more I like him. Ex-Marine, ex-Marine full corporal, I believe. Junior leader out of somewhere like that. The guy's got his head screwed on. He's a good man. I'm liking him. I'd be quite happy for him to take over after Trump. Nah. Here we go. Christianity Today. Many Christians have heard of Lent, but do we know what it all means? Is it really just time for giving up chocolate or social media? As many Christians mark the beginning of Lent this year on Wednesday, the 5th of March, known as Ash Wednesday, it's important to know the real purpose and the meaning of the 40 days of Lent. So, Lent is the 40-day period leading up to Easter, excluding Sundays, that starts on Ash Wednesday and ends on Holy Saturday, the day before Easter. The 40 days of Lent involve fasting, prayer, almsgiving as a way to connect deeper with God. Now, almsgiving is another term for charity, where you do things for people that are less fortunate. Now, how you go about that, if you follow the scriptures, you should do it modestly and without making a show. But that's what that means. So be advised, yes, Islam did come quite a while after Christianity, and their Ramadan with the fasting and the charity and the prayer is pretty much our Lent, only being renamed and repurposed. Commonly observed by Roman Catholic, Eastern, and some Protestant churches. All Protestant churches observe Lent, but it's the way that they do it that is different. We will come on to that. And for those of you that are new to the channel, haven't heard it before, the word Protestant means Protestant, and they are Protestant Catholics. And this is the reason for the Reformation and the split was not simply about the absence of a divorce for Henry VIII. There was a lot of theological stuff, some of which we're going to get into this evening. Many use the 40 days of Lent as a time of personal reflection to prepare your heart and mind for Good Friday and Easter. The origin of the word Lent comes from Old English lecture in springtime, from a West German Lasanzi, long days or lightening of the days. So pretty much we're on the same thing with both the pagan structure and the Christian structure. Shrove Tuesday is the day before Ash Wednesday, marking the start of Lent. Traditionally, it's a time for confession, repentance, and fasting and feasting before the fasting season. The name Shrove comes from the Old English word shriven, meaning to confess your sins and receive absolution. Lent starts with Ash Wednesday, the day when you might see people with crosses of ashes on their foreheads. If you do see that, that's because they are Roman Catholics and they believe in some jiggery pokery, and they also use that as a way in Britain and in other countries that whenever they arrive in their workplace or whatnot, they can see who are the Catholics and who are not, and it makes it easier for them to network together and improve the lot of Catholics, is most of why the crosses are. These ashes are a reminder of our need for repentance and the reality of our human frailty. The ice marks symbolizes sorrow and mourning over sin. The biblical support for this observation also comes from the following verse. Then I turned my face to the Lord God, seeking him by prayer and pleased with the mercy of fasting and sackcloth and ashes in Daniel 9:3. And there was a great mourning among the Jews, with fasting and weeping and lamenting, and many of them lay in sackcloth and ashes, from Esther 4:13. None of this stuff, see this bit that I've highlighted, none of that is Christian. I'm going to say it again slowly for those at the back. Both of these verses are from the Old Testament. Therefore, they do not reflect Christianity. Christianity begins with the teachings of Jesus Christ. And what's in the Old Testament is a history book. Rant over. So, oh, and by the way, the other thing about the cross on the forehead, it could also be a reference to the Passover, where they marked the above the door. Whenever you mark your forehead, you're marking the top of your door. But I digress. And that was opinion. I'm not stealing that as a fact. I'm just saying it's similar. Palm Sunday is the last Sunday of Lent and begins a time of Lent known as the Holy Week, the week leading up to Easter and the final days of Jesus' life. Palm Sunday marks Jesus' arrival in Jerusalem when people welcomed him with palm branches and recognized him as their king. Maundy Thursday, the Holy Week, remembers the Last Supper, when Jesus shared a final meal with his disciples and demonstrated humility by washing their feet. Good Friday is a solemn day that commemorates Jesus' crucifixion and his ultimate sacrifice for our sins. Despite its sorrowful offense, it's called good because of the redemption of Jesus to secure everlasting life for us. Holy Saturday is a day of quiet reflection as we remember Jesus' time in the tomb and anticipate the joy of what's to come. Finally, Easter Sunday bursts forth with celebration. Jesus is alive. His resurrection offers us hope, new life, and the promise of eternity with him. And in 2025, Lent begins each year, and Ash Wednesday is 46 days to Easter. How long is Lent? Yes, we are going to do the deeper purpose and meaning. I just want to check the chat. Speaking of the Last Supper, I'm famished. Yeah. Oh fuck. I had a nice bit of nutty crust toast, the Halo, the big fucking thick one earlier. Emma G, the wonderful Emma G, bought me a brushed stainless steel butter dish, and I just feel like the fucking Lord of the Mama every time I pull out my wee butter dish, and I'm using that to butter my toast. Thank you, Rich, because that what I'm trying to, how I try to judge it, how I'm going to try to judge this show going forward is, am I providing good information for the people? Is it something that's not out there? I'm not overly worried about the numbers, but I am worried about the content being good. Where was I? Going back to this. There are numerous ways to approach that, some more logistic than personal spiritual growth. Still, the origins of Lent seem to be rooted in Christians giving up food or money in order to emulate Christ's obedience to the Father. Well, I'll tell you something else that's going on here. People's learning to live within their means again. You've had Christmas, you've had the party, you've had the fun time, and there's going to be another party time coming up, and they're saying, here, maybe calm yourself down, get back to minimalism, and see does that improve your life. And the 40 days, something just over a month, is a good length of time to break habits. During Lent, Christians honor the 40 days and nights of Christ's baptism. He went into the wilderness without water and food and was tempted by Satan. During that time, Christ did what we do today when we fast, wrestle with temptation. This was not the first fast. Biblical figures often fasted while petitioning God on something important. And I'm going to debate that Jesus went into the desert without any water. I think he may have kept his water consumption to nighttime, But if he done 40 days in the desert with no water, there was some godly effect going on there that means that he didn't really do the fast. So I'm going to say that he had water with him for the evening, and probably food for the evening as well. And particularly whenever we're talking about Old Testament fasting, they don't say that would have been, it was the accepted practice. The Israelites mourned and wept and fasted till evening for Saul and his son Jonathan, and for the army of the Lord and the nation of Israel, because they had fallen by the sword. The three main ways people engage in Lent is through fasting, abstaining from something to focus on God, prayer, and almsgiving, giving to charity. Fasting during Lent typically involves abstaining from certain foods and luxuries as a form of self-discipline and solidarity with the sufferings of Christ. Today, some still observe fasts that restrict quality and type of food, but many feel Lent is a time in which to give up a particular vice or a bad habit or a pleasurable thing. While Protestants also take part, Catholic churches are particularly associated with Lenten fasting, with some people who abstain from all animal products, while others, fish and other poultry, were allowed. Mainly because the Pope did a deal with fishermen and made it a sin to eat meat on certain days so that they could sell more fish, but that's immaterial. But what you do need to realize is that we had a tradition of fasting where the whole community did it together, where everybody was involved, not just the one person that we have in the chat says are observing this, which I am going to come back to shortly. It's important to remember the primary purpose of Lent is meaning to be a time of repentance. It's not a feeling of shame, but awareness and sin that separates us from God and Christ, that Christ endured to save us from sin, death, and the devil. Shame has its place, but feeling shame over sin and not the same thing as repentance from sin. Yeah. So you can feel embarrassed because you've done something that was wrong, but that's not truly saying, fuck, I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry I did that. If I could take that back and change that, I would. But what if you do have that repentance, what you will not do is repeat that same issue. Because our temper can take our obedience to God and turn it into a source of pride. That should always lead us towards gratitude for Jesus' sacrifice on Good Friday and his resurrection of Easter. Simple ways to serve Lent in your own home. Name the praising sin. Christians are taught to begin the 40-day period by confessing the sins they would like Christ to remove, to really examine areas of recurring sin, which are a hurdle to being conformed to God's will. I'm going to say that's a bit of a Catholic-y thing. Partner with other Christians. Historically, entire church congregations would support one another during Lent. Although Christ instructed, when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be a secret. That's from Matthew 6:3-4, which actually is Christianity. This is a teaching of Christ. Whenever you're helping people, help them. Where it needs to be public, let it be public. Where it can be private, keep it private. And don't run about going, I helped him, I helped him, I helped her, I helped her. Fuck's sake. Do the thing because it's the right thing to do. Believers keep each other accountable. Now, this is something that's quite interesting because I know that whenever I was growing up as a child, one of the questions you got during this time of the year is, what are you giving up for Lent? And you pretty much had to have an answer. of what it was you were doing. Now, we have a lot of issues that are beginning to crop up with Western people coming in contact with people from the uh, Islamic world who challenge them because they're eating food during Ramadan. Well, that's their nature, and it was our nature to question other people that were not keeping the tradition and the culture the way it should be. Somewhere along the line, we stopped tell prodding each other's and telling each other to here, get you back on that. And that's a big part of how we're losing the country. Self-disclosure brings forth humility by making it your responsibility to humbly open your soul to those whom you are accountable. If you're a witness to your own life, sharing truthfully, freely, and happily with little or no provocation, devoted friends encourage each other to be specific in their prayers and help one another seek Christ and strength. The whole praying thing, I'm going to make this really simple for you. You probably were all taught to do your prayers, say your prayers before you go to bed. You know what you do? You take away account of your day. What have you done? Was it good, bad, or indifferent? Does it need to be better tomorrow? Or would that performance do again? That's how you're doing it now. And you can discuss it with the creator up there and ask for guidance. And maybe you might wake up in the morning with some answers, provided you've got reasonable questions. If you're looking for a lottery win, the fact that it's Lent and you're supposed to be giving up stuff should teach you that that's not going to be answered in a prayer. Your fast should feel like a sacrifice, not a religious duty. Nor should the fast be dangerous to your health. Consider giving up one meal a day, regular treat. I'm going to make this easy. I'm going to condense this. This is what you're doing is present you is going to sacrifice a little bit so the future you has a better life. You're doing a little bit of planning preparation for the person that's taking over duty tomorrow, which is you. And the other thing you can do at your prayers is do a handover a shift to the person who's coming next and tell them, good job there yesterday. You didn't leave me in the shit. Time with God is crucial. Quiet and solitude enable one to listen to the Spirit and discern the answers to the prayers. Before the noisy corporate rejoicing of Easter Sunday, celebrate opportunities of peaceful complaints and intimacy with the Father, no matter how prayers are answered at the end of the 40 days. So, yeah, spend time with God. Protestant observation of Lent. Lent is observed differently among Protestant denominations, with some, like Lutherans, Anglicans, and Methodists, following structured traditions, while others, such as Evangelicals and Baptists and non-denominational groups, may not formally observe it at all. For those who do participate, Lent is typically a time of personal reflection, prayer, and spiritual renewal rather than strict fasting and obligatory practices. While some Protestants observe Ash Wednesday, not where I live, they don't. That'll get your windows put in. And engage in acts of self-denial, such as giving up certain future habits. Yes, fasting is generally optional and varies by individual or church tradition. Holy Week is recognized by many Protestant groups, but observations tend to be simpler than in Catholicism. Because we have these Christian feelings and whatnot every day, not just on special days. And we also know that Sunday lasts all day and not just the lunchtime. But there you go. With Good Friday often marked by scripture readings or a sermon rather than an actual sermon. Easter Sunday remains a central focus, celebrating on the resurrection with worship of joy, often without an extended sermon. You don't get a sermon that day. In Catholicism, Lent is a deeply structured mumbo jumbo season emphasizing penance, fasting, prayer, and almsgiving. It begins on Ash Wednesday, where believers receive ashes as a sign of repentance, and includes a strict fasting on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, along with absence of meat on all Fridays of Lent. Confessions and acts of charity are strongly encouraged as part of the spiritual discipline. Holy Week is a solemn time with Palm Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, and Easter Vigil playing significant roles in preparing for Easter. Good Friday service involves veneration of the cross. Should not be doing that. Scripture readings and prayers culminating in the Easter Vigil on Saturday night. A highly symbolic and sacred celebration of Christ's resurrection, often including baptisms and scripture reflections. Easter Sunday then marks the joyous conclusion of Lent, celebrating Christ's victory over death with a high emphasis on the earth church and the resurrection hope. Some things that you can give up for Lent: social media, not a chance. Sugar, no. Alcohol, I already give that up. Online shopping, clutter, computing, TV games. So these are just a list of things. I would strongly suggest during Lent, give this a go. Stop eating out for a month. Perhaps maybe at the weekend. No more takeouts and all that. Get yourself cordial instead of fizzy drink, which I'm currently doing. And see how it changes your finances, because it's quite the surprise. What are your motives for observing Lent? These 40 days of Lent are set aside to praise and worship the Lord, to read the Bible more and pray more often. Christians who observe Lent correctly anticipate deeper intimacy with the Lord, which is a blessing. They do not expect rewards such as more favorable answers to a prayer, resolution, or health concerns. Although many Christians have reported that following Lent they experience freedom from long-standing issues. This is partially because you've been a bit strict with yourself for a while and you've improved your way of life. That will happen. Many Christians prefer to not observe this pre-Easter tradition because it smacks of a religious duty. Christ said of the Pharisees, they crush people with unbearable religious demands and never lift a finger to ease their burden, which is true. He often criticized the Pharisees for disheartening the Jews with demands that missed the heart of God. Christ did not establish the tradition of Lent as a commandment for his followers to observe. And as someone from the Church of Ireland, I believe in what's in the book. So Lent isn't in the book, but I do think it's a good thing. Whether or not to participate is a matter between the individual and God. I'm going to leave that at there. I'm going to do hopefully, we will see. I might be about to do a poem, impromptu poem, if I can find it. Let's see if I can find this real quick. Yep, I'm going to take that one down. I'll reread this last paragraph and then I'll give you an idea where I am. Many Christians prefer. Yet many Christians prefer not to observe pre-Easter tradition because it smacks of religious duty. Christ said to the Pharisees, they crush people with unbearable religious demands. I'm going to skip to the end here. Christ had now established the tradition of Lent as a commandment for his followers to observe. Whether or not to participate is a matter between the individual and God. And I would say also is all parts of your religion a matter between the individual and God at the very basis of it. And I'm going to pull up a poem that I wrote quite a long time ago. This is called My God by 42. My God does not live in a church where pews squeak and people perch. My God lives in the soil, the water, the air. My God is eternal. My God will always be there. My God requires no one on my behalf to intercede. My God talks to me directly, so the lessons I heed. My God talks to me softly. I hear my God every day. My God creates visions in the clouds to show me the way. My God has rules that number just one. Respect humanity in all you have done. For the time will come when I'm covered in sod, and I will at last be at one with my God. Which should give you an idea that I prescribe to a non-structured, personal relationship with God. So I'm just checking through the chat before I go much further. Edmund's giving up biscuits. What about you, Edmund? Right. Yep, doesn't seem to be that much I need to. Where are we? We've done an hour. I think we're going to have a musical interlude because I need to go to the toilet. And then we're going to do a bit about Pancake Day. So, yeah, that's what's happening. And we will have harmony, melody, and rhyme because I think that is appropriate enough for this because it's all about community.
Hello, this is 42 speaking. Welcome to the Resistance. You are not alone, and we shall walk this journey together. What about you, chum? If one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. Let us gather together those that can perform, and from the scarred timbers build our own platform. From that grand house they tried to burn down, there's gold in the ashes if you look around. Let us gather together those that can perform, then from those scarred timbers build our own platform. Build our own platform. We will sing words of wisdom. We will sing world harmony, melody, and rhyme. We descended from minstrels in old days of yore. We will create a culture as we did once before, forced to stand by as our country was sold. Did you really think we'd leave that story untold? So one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. They have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. They have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. stand by as our country was sold. Did you really think we'd leave that story untold? We will sing words of wisdom. We will sing sing harmony, melody, prayer. Harmony, melody, and prayer. So one brings a guitar and one brings a voice. Then they stand together and make their own choice. I have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. Never realized you could not kill a dream. So we will gather together those that can perform, and from the scarred timbers build our own platform. You're talking to 42. What about you, chum? If one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. Sing words of wisdom, we will sing for all time. We will sing for our people, harmony, melody, and rhyme. We will sing words of wisdom, we will sing for all time. We will sing for our people with the ancient trilogy of harmony, melody, rhyme. Never realized you cannot kill a dream. You cannot kill a dream. And we shall walk this journey together.
Dawn's in down under. Dawn, do me a favor. Send me a telegram after the show, or I'll be in touch with you. I've something for you that you're going to be very interested in, I believe. There we go. But good to see Dawn from down under. Right. What we were going to do? We were going to do a little bit about Pancake Day. And this is from Learn English. Not quite sure who this government website's aimed at. My pleasure, Amanda. Thank you. Thank you very much. Big shout out to Al Mac and Justice Kane. Al Mac's a genius behind that, by the way. I might have wrote it and recited it, but Al Mac made it what it is. Right. Pancake Day from Learn English. Oh, no. That's the wrong one, there. Nearly put up the wrong link. Pancake Day is a different day every year and it's a celebration unique to the UK. Funny it didn't catch on the rest of the Anglican Catholic world. Must be something us British people do differently that came from British people. Pancake Day is another name for Shrove Tuesday, which takes place 40 days before Easter and marks the start of Lent. In some other countries, it is called Mardi Gras or Fat Tuesday because it's when the people ate all the good things for the last time before starting 40 days of religious fasting for Lent. So it was an open book. You could eat whatever you could get your hands on. Particularly the milk and eggs and fats that you were going to be taking out of your diet. You didn't want them left in the house and going off, so you'd use them up and make the pancakes. Milk, eggs, and oil or butter might not seem special nowadays, but hundreds of years ago, they were one of the few ways of turning a basic recipe of flour and water into something richer. And here's an interesting one. Whenever I was making my coffee this morning, got out of bed, up, made a coffee, and I noticed in the fridge I had a bottle of fizzy pop. Main pineapple lemonade, by the way, not the brown lemonade, but the same people make the brown lemonade. And I was all pleased that it was there because Monday to Friday I've been drinking diluted cordial instead, and it was a really nice treat. And now that it's back at being a treat as opposed to just a everyday thing, it's even better. As well as using their eggs and fats before Lent, people would also go to church to confess their sins to a priest. A bell was used to ring at about 11 o'clock in the morning to remind people to cook their luxury ingredients and go to confession. This bell, yeah, because the only thing was why we were doing it in the morning, because that was your last chance. It's like the cigarette you have before you go into the airport. They're getting you. This has got to last me through. And only in Buckinghamshire, the town celebrates with a tradition that started in 1445 when a woman heard the bell while she was making pancakes. She ran out of the house to get to the church in time for confession while she was still holding the hot pan with the pancake inside. As she ran, she tossed the pancake to flip it over and over again so that it wouldn't burn. Today and only some other towns across the UK, pancake races are held where all the racers run and toss pancakes down the street. Now, I remember doing pancake races whenever I was a kid. And my question to the chat is, if you've been on a pancake race, please put a 1 in the chat. And I would hope that it's pretty much everybody. Or you've been deprived of a childhood thing. Ireland is not the UK, you absolute fucking dickhead. Ban user and delete comment. Goodbye. Again, Jay. Yes, remember the advert? Don't forget the pancakes and Jeff Lemon Day. I loved it. Have you ever been involved in a pancake race? Was the question. Again, yep. Oh fuck. He's from Belfast, like he should fucking know. Sorry, where was I? Yep. Pancake Day. On average, British people eat 2 pancakes per person on Pancake Day. Though plenty of people will have 4 at least, which means 117 million pancakes will be eaten in one day. On a normal day, Brits eat 30 million eggs per day, but on Pancake Day that goes up to 52 million eggs and enough milk to fill 93 Olympic swimming pools. Because whenever a whole community does the same thing at the same time, the scale goes fucking massive. While people might put chocolate spread or syrup in their pancakes, the most popular topping by far is lemon juice and sugar, but instead of the fine white sugar you put on top of the cakes, British people use the same kind of sugar they put in their tea. If you want to try making British style pancakes, there's a simple recipe. Flour, eggs, milk, a bit of oil if you want, and mix that up in the batter, throw it in a pan. There you go. And what we're going to do next is have a little look at the pancake race in Only. Where did it go? I've lost my link. Pancake Day races. Here we go. We're going to have a look at the Pancake Day racing. Get past the Thornton's advertisement. Right, here we go. This is Only pancake racing. Here we go.
Get set, go. One.
We believe it started in 1445, and tradition suggests that a lady was busy cooking her pancakes at home in preparation for Lent, and heard the pancake bell at the church ring, realised she was late for the service, so she just grabbed her pan and a pancake and ran down to the church. And that's where we believe the idea of a pancake race started. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I think it's a lovely idea.
Now, far be it from me to start a revolution or anything, but I do believe that if every street in England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, everybody that was like us started having pancake races in the street for the kids and close the street down, it would change dramatically the notion of the makeup of this country. Pancake racing is just one of the many things that we used to do all the time that showed who we are. And now that is being lost. This is true. Our army cannot fill a fucking football stadium. It's too small. Now, so if pancake racing isn't quite for you, we're going to have, hold on, a little look at the Shrove Tuesday football. Shrove Tuesday, Pancake Day, same thing. Now, let's have a little look at this. Right. Share screen.
Of Alnwick Castle in preparation for the town's annual Shrove Tuesday football match. It was then carried down the hill with the Duke's Piper at the head of the column. Locals cannot recall this game between the parishes of St Michael and St Paul ever being called off by the weather, and a few inches of snow wasn't going to stop them today. A contingent of cheerleaders encouraged some American students taking part, but some people seemed a little bit vague about the rules. After a goal, or hail as they call them, the teams should change ends, but that just seemed to cause confusion. You certainly needed stamina. The pitch is a quarter of a mile long.
We've no record of when it actually started, but I think it started in medieval times. But originally, of course, it was played in the streets of Alnwick. But there was so much damage being done to all the property in the town, the shopkeepers took a petition to the Duke. It was Duke Algernon at the time. I knew that would happen. And in 1827. And in 1828, it was started to be played down in the what we call the pastures, the North Domain. Along the pitch in those days was half a mile long. And there was two balls provided by the Duke. There was a game between the married and single freemen, and there was a game for the non-freemen. And the Duke gave an award of 5 sovereigns to the winning team. And they went to the town hall and had a great big binge up at night. And when he heard about this next year, he gave another 5 sovereigns towards that party. So really, it's, to be quite honest, it's because of the influence of the castle and the interest, the personal interest the Dukes have taken over the years, that this game has survived in Alnwick, where it's died out, all over the country, really. There's very few places it's been played in. Because at one time, of course, it was played in nearly every town and village in the country.
And the final tradition, the ball is thrown into the river, and the first man out of the water with it at the other side keeps it for life. 3 Americans then used the river as a shortcut. Not only was the water bitterly cold, they were pelted with snowballs as well.
So, historically, those football matches were played right across the country. Now, even if you weren't at church or whatever, those things shut down the whole town because everybody's playing the football. And you can't just, even if you wanted to go about your daily business, you couldn't. You've seen the thing in the video where they moved it from inside the town down to the fields because of damage and whatnot. What it was doing, it was stopping anything else happening on those days. Because we've got this day set aside and we're going to do fucking something with it, and you're not going to make us work, and you're not going to take our celebrations away from us. And those celebrations have all dwindled way down. I can agree with you. I can definitely agree with that. The English did invent the best sports. I'm going to give you that one. That's free. Don't let Sansom hear you saying that happened. He'll not be pleased. So that is Shrove Tuesday. And what else was I wanting to talk about? Sorry. Palm Sunday is the next one. So the next observance of Lent we're going to talk about is Palm Sunday. Yeah, it's not football, but is it? It's a throwing game. There's no foot to the ball involved, or there's very little. I like how Anglo is a very what's that word? Considerate in his words. Yeah, dog shite. I do not endorse that view, but it's not one of the better games. Right, here we go. Palm Sunday. Present. Share screen. Share screen. What is the meaning of Palm Sunday and why do we celebrate it? Palm Sunday commemorates when Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey the week before his crucifixion and death. Although the people cried, "Hosanna to the Son of David," and greeted him with anxious expectation, however, by Friday, they would crucify him. 1 week after he entered Jerusalem was the resurrection of Christ, when he first appeared to the mirth-bearing woman. Myrrh. And in this article, we'll explore Palm Sunday, blah, blah, blah. Various Bible Gospel books in the whole accounts of what happened on Palm Sunday. Let's have a look. As they approached Jerusalem and came to the Bethany Gate on the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go to the village ahead of us, and at once you will find a donkey tied there, with her colt by her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, say that the Lord needeth them, and he will send them right away." This took place to fulfill what was spoken through the prophets. "Say to daughter Sion, see, your king comes to you, gentle and riding on a donkey, and on a colt and the foal of a donkey." The disciples went and did as Jesus had instructed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and placed their cloaks on them for Jesus to sit on. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, while others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds went ahead of him. To those that followed, shouted, "Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven." When Jesus entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred and asked, "Who is this?" The crowds answered, "It is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee." So that's Jesus triumphantly going into Bethlehem, or not Bethlehem, to fuck's sake, Jerusalem. And that's what it was like whenever he arrived. Palm Sunday remembers and celebrates when Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey, as foretold in the prophecy in the Old Testament of Isaiah and Zechariah. The people wanted an insurrectionist to topple Rome. Jesus did come to defeat an enemy, but not the one they had in mind. Instead, he came to defeat the enemies of sin, death, and the devil that ensnared every man and woman since Adam and Eve. So they were expecting somebody to come and defeat the Romans, and he came and defeated death and gave everyone the gift of everlasting life for the small price of believing. According to Crosswalk, Palm Sunday was the first day of the Holy Week leading up to the Jewish holiday of Passover. Jesus rode on a donkey through the town of Jerusalem on his way to conquer death and bring life through his sacrifice on the cross. Jesus voluntarily gave himself as a sacrificial Passover lamb when they led him to his death on the Friday of that week. So, Palm Sunday, what's it all about? So why do people wave palm branches and place them at the feet of Jesus' colt? No doubt in Palestine, where Jesus ministered, there were plenty of palm trees scattered throughout the land. And what was the meaning of using palm trees? I'm not sure it was called Palestine then, just to be clear. I think that may be a modern interpretation of that land. According to Easton's Bible Dictionary, the branches of trees actually have significant meaning. People didn't just grab whatever leaves they could for no reason. Its branches are the symbol of victory, Revelation 7:9, rising with the slender stems, 40 or 50 at a time, even 80 feet aloft. Its only branches and feathery snow-like pale green folds from 6 to 12 feet long, bending from the top. The palm attracts the eye wherever it is seen. The whole land of Palestine was called by the Greeks and Romans Pinocchio, as something or other, the land of the palms. The Jewish people wanted victory over the Romans who had invaded their land. Jesus did come to enact the victory, but not quite the one they had in mind. Sorry, are they saying at the time of Jesus the Romans were in charge of Jerusalem? Because I think you have two sets of people that disagree with that. disagree with my history is common. When we use palm branches in our services, we can remember how Jesus conquered death for us to have a chance of salvation through him. Jesus rode on a donkey and Palm Sunday symbolized the fulfillment of prophecy and declaration of his true mission. How many times is this thing going to report itself? Right, I'm skipping the list. The Christian celebrations of Palm Sunday vary based on the different denominations. Both Protestants and Catholic churches celebrate Palm Sunday. Some may put a few decorative palm branches up, while most churches you attend on Palm Sunday will dedicate the sermon to discussing Jesus' triumphant entry. Others may have children wave palm branches down the aisles, some singing songs with the word Hosanna and the same phrase used by the Israelites entering Jerusalem. I'm going to say that it was also reminiscent of the rush burning ceremonies that we have talked about on this channel. For harvest, palm branches reflect the biblical account of Jesus entering Jerusalem, where crowds spread of palm branches in the road before him. Worshippers often carry palm branches in processions. Churches distribute palm funds to congregations who may wave them during the service at home and bring them symbol of peace and victory. Processions. Pay close attention, please. Many congregations hold processions either inside the churches or outside in the community to reenact Jesus' entry into Jerusalem. These can be solemn or festive, with participants singing hymns and carrying palms. Do you know something? I keep hearing that British people are not allowed to collectivise. Keep hearing that. We're not allowed to collectivise. We're not allowed to join together. Well, you know what? Maybe you are, you just don't turn up. Because if you really want to change this country, what about in every town, all these working class people gather at the town hall and walk their ass into the church and sit themselves down and go, we're the English. Well, we haven't been here for a while, but we're taking it back. We're the Scottish, haven't been here for a while, we're taking it back. We're the Welsh, we haven't been here for a while, we're taking it back. We're the Ulster people. Shout about God all day long. Never turn up to the fucking church though. We're taking it back. And whenever the police go, oh, you can't be having this far right demonstration and procession, go, I'm walking to church. Get out of my fucking road. Has anybody considered trying that? Sorry, I just want to check the chat. The communal wafer is called the host, and the Roman Catholics believe that actually is the body of God, and the Protestant Catholics believe that it's a representation of the body of God. It's called the host. There's a thing in Amsterdam where one of the hosts fell into a fire, but it didn't burn him. They all walk around the city fucking 7 times that night. Where the hell was I? Oh, yeah. Blessing of the palms. In many churches, the palm branches are blessed during the Palm Sunday service. These blessed palms are considered symbols of Christ's victory over death and are often kept by worshippers in their homes as a token of blessing and pure protection. Similar to the way at harvest you would bring stuff into your house from the harvest service. Palm Sunday, special church services on Palm Sunday include readings from the Gospels about Jesus entering Jerusalem, as well as hymns and sermons, crafts and decorations. Children in Sunday school may engage in crafting crosses from palm folds or other activities to help them understand the significance of the day. Homes and churches may be decorated with palms and other greenery. Dramatic readings are plays. Some communities present dramatic readings or plays to depict the events of Palm Sunday. How we spread information before widespread writing and printing and everybody being able to read was we would have these plays that would travel around the country and depict certain events, and that's how you learned. In the same way with the nativity plays, if you have a proper traditional nativity play, it'll wrap up nicely the story of Jesus' birth. If you have a Palm Sunday play type thing, it's going to wrap all that up for you as well. In some countries, Palm Sunday includes unique traditions. For example, in Spain and some Latin American countries, the day is marked with elaborate processions featuring statues of Jesus and the Virgin Mary. In Eastern Orthodox Christianity, in addition to palm branches, willow branches are often blessed and distributed, reacting the local and available vegetation. And with that, I'm going to pull out another YouTube video and shoot pancake races. I'll leave more by tab if I can find it. I think I've got it. Yep, we're good. Here we go. Here's a blast from the past. This is what we used to do.
With solemn dignity, the Church of England again celebrates Palm Sunday as it has been kept for many centuries. At St. Michael's College Hill in the City of London, palms are blessed, and then a united procession of witness and devotion, consisting of priests and laity, walks through the city streets to the Church of St. Magnus the Martyr near the monument. On reaching the doors of this church, the rector, the Reverend J.H. Fiennes Clinton, knocks for admittance with a cross bedecked with palms. At Westminster Cathedral, the Roman Catholic Church also keeps Palm Sunday in the traditional manner. Led by priests, the procession leaves the cathedral and proceeds to the west door, where Monsignor Myers, Bishop of Weymouth, officiates at the ceremonies which precede the entrance to the church.
Right, stop screen. Yep. Like, what I want to say here is, yeah, the old voices and all that old stuff. What I want to say here may be a bit controversial, but if we want to think of Britain as a Christian country, we're all going to have to take part in the Christian celebrations, and we're going to have to do it in massive numbers. What I've been trying to get at is Easter, Lent, the 40 days before it. Not long in my childhood was a full-on community event. It's no longer that. I often hear people complain, and rightly complain, that Church England isn't relevant in England anymore, that our churches are empty, falling down in disrepair, and getting turned into bingo halls, mosques. There's a church in Belfast City Centre got turned into a pub, for fuck's sake, a nightclub. Right? Now, if that's the country we're happy to live in, we need to continue doing what we're doing. If we want to live in a country that's different to that, we're going to have to do something different, something radical, like go back to your church and impose our standards on the church. The church belongs to the people. It's designed as a meeting place for the people, where the congregation can gather. And how this country works in its blueprint version is you rock up at the church on a Sunday morning. The butchers are, the bakers are, the candlestick makers are, the politicians are, the shopkeepers are, the labourers there. And inside that building, all are equal and all can voice their concerns. Now, whenever you've got those bunch of people all in the same place, they can talk to each other before it and after it, not during the service, because that would be rude. But you can sort things out. And from your church, you can have a men's group, you can have a women's group, you can have a bowling group, you can have all these other things that's going on within the church. And whenever the police come and ask, where do you know such and such from? Oh, he goes to my church. That conversation stops. It's amazing. It's almost like the country was designed with a facility for the local population to come together and figure out by themselves how they wanted their area to be run, and impart that to the people that run the place, that are in the same building at the same fucking time. Could you imagine what would happen if your local member of parliament had to face you every Sunday morning? That'd be a game changer. Particularly if the local member of parliament was mandated to go to a certain church, that being the Church of England or the Church of Ireland, Presbyterian Church in Scotland. It would be a game changer, and the facilities are there, but we refuse to use them in the way that they were designed. The other thing is, the church plays a very important role in the British system, because you have the king who's at the top of the tree. Who's at the top of the tree, but he does not get to speak to the commoners that often. In fact, who he actually gets to interact with is totally dictated by the government. They organise all the royals meetings. You will speak to this person, this person, this person. And they're in a position where it would be very easy to give them misinformation. However, you've got this person who's got a role called the Archbishop of Canterbury. And he is the moral guide of the monarch. And he is supposed to be able to tell the monarch what the true opinion of the populace is. Now, there are other institutions where this is supposed to happen and the information is supposed to filter up. But what happened is, somewhere along the line, the born-again Christians took over the church. The church stopped being a place for everybody that happened to be born in the country and born in the religion, and only for those special people that were born again and didn't do this and didn't do the other. They imposed too harsh a standard on the other parishioners, in the same way Jesus was complaining about the Pharisees, and they chased the vast majority of people out of the church. And then it turns out that those born again Christians were woke. And then they started to promote their priests. The problem is we have not heard the opinion of any of our monarchs from since 1688. The last monarch we had that actually tried to run the place, we had a civil war and chopped his fucking head off. And everything goes through Parliament, and everything that you've heard from any royal since then has been dictated to the government. Put a bit of paper down in front of them and they read it, and they also get their information from all the people it's approved. And now the stopback of having an Archbishop of Canterbury that can talk to the King in private or Queen and tell him exactly what's going on, that is broken beyond repair, because not only have the born again Christians put all the woke people forward, so at every level it's all woke people in the church, which is why it's got to be the way it is. And we need to take that back so that the Archbishop of Canterbury actually knows what the genuine feeling from the people in the street is, and then he can properly advise the monarch. And that's a big part of why our system is broken, in my humble opinion. I could be wrong. Other opinions do exist, but that's mine. I think at this stage you have to consider the royal family being very similar to all of the old people that we all know that got totally conned by the government into taking medications and certain bits of action, for taking certain actions and wearing masks and whatnot, because the TV told them that that's what they had to do. Because consider this: if you're a royal, somebody comes in the morning and says you have to go to place A, B, and C, and then a person goes in to brief them about that, and they ask about the security, and they go, yeah, that's okay, we've sorted all the security. And you have to trust them, and therefore you have to trust their information. And they're not, the royals aren't being given, in my opinion, aren't being given the true opinions of the people. And if that changed, I think we could have a game changer. I also think that what we need at this present state of time is a very based Archbishop of Canterbury, which we do not have, who can whisper in William's ear and say, whenever you're king, the people want everything back to being traditional, and you can use your place as the head of the Church of England to make that happen. Please do it. And the people will stand behind you. But instead, what they're being told is the people love diversity, the people love inclusion, the people love all this stuff, which is total bullshit. But they're not getting a different voice, is a lot of where I think the problems are. And with that, I wouldn't go as far as saying Charles a traitor, but I would have been very, very happy had it went straight to William. The other thing is what always happened there with the cult of the slut, and how the royals were tarnished and whatnot. Oh, fuck. There we go. I'm just having a quick look through the comments. And well, he's not a Jew. Is the easy answer to that one. And with that, I'm going to have a musical interlude. I'm going to play a song that's not me. I think we're going to have a sea shanty. I think we're going to have Leave Her Johnny, Leave Her. Yep, we're going to have that. I think that would be fitting. Johnny Collins, sea shanty coming up. I fucking hope he is. Do you know what? A lot of it all depends on Kate. A lot of it depends on Kate and what Kate's family's like and who he's been brought into contact with through there. I honestly hope he is. And I hope that he takes a fucking broadsword to a lot of stuff. And you're right, sea shanty's dead. Conquer the world. Right. Serious question. Let me know. Do you think, did you learn stuff tonight? Did you find it informative? Was it oh yeah, especially after Megan. The fucking bastard Harry and Megan can do whatever the fuck they want. None of their children should be princes or princesses because neither two of them's fucking any connection to anybody royal in their biology. Oh, thank you, Anglo. Right, and we'll get this sea shanty on. Leave Her Johnny, Leave Her coming right up. It means I can see have a good look at the chat.
Oh, the work was hard and the wages low. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. I guess it's time for us to go, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, tomorrow you will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The winds blew foul and the seas run high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. We shipped 'em green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The mate was a bucko and the old man a Turk. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. And the bosun was a beggar with a middle name of work, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The old man swears, and the mate swears too. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. The crew all swear, and so would you. And it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done, and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The starboard pump is like the crew. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. It's all worn out and will not do, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The rats have gone and we the crew. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. It's time, be damned, that we went to, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Well, I pray that we shall ne'er more see. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. A hungry ship, the likes of she, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her.
Well, everybody, that is your roundup on Lent, all things Easter, with the exception of Easter Sunday. I thought that would have been premature to do. I would suggest that next week we will probably have your yearly reminder that Patrick the Apostle is not a fucking saint. So you have that to look forward to next week. And I hope everything came across well. And I'm going to play out with the Anglo-Saxon. Please be advised, the next project of that genre is well in the works, and that's going to be coming soon. But for now, I'm going to the Cult of the Slut. It sounds like a West Country festival. The Cult of the Slut is the national fucking prostration of the people in front of the slut Diana, who is the mother of a bastard son that is somehow in the fucking running to become a king if the wrong person dies. Yeah. The damage that was done by that woman is fucking unbelievable, but it does sound like a West Country festival. And with that, I am going to play us out with the Anglo-Saxon. I'm going to put your comments up on the screen. Here we go. Hello, you're listening to 42's letter to the Anglo-Saxons. When you spread this message, you are the resistance. The Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon shook his head sharply, his hair dislodging droplets of sweat from the back of his neck, the produce of moving a carcass to the workbench. The sharpened blades and cleavers felt natural in his hand. The carcass divided to his will. The Anglo-Saxon's muscle memory was that of a warrior. His body was lost to the toil, but his mind wandered to memories that were not his own. An intruder startled the Anglo-Saxon. However, before him was not the meadows and glades of his ancestors, but a butcher's shop window. While politely serving the customer, the Anglo-Saxon mourned the loss of a kingdom he had never known, of the rituals and customs that were lost long before his grandparents were even born. Outside, the street was a bustle. He knew there were others like him, ones who carried the warrior's pride. Amongst them he would find the rightful place of an Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon.
It was not preached to the crowd, it was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the Anglo-Saxons began to hate. It was not suddenly bred, it will not swiftly abate. Through the chill years ahead, when the time shall count from the date that the Anglo-Saxons began to hate. When time shall count from the date the Anglo-Saxons began to hate.
Game over.
I'm just going to address this quickly. What comes more often? Christian, he's also a writer of 42 St. Patrick wasn't the saint. Here's the thing, Brad. I'm on a mission. See, every time one of you hear something about St. Patrick Day, I want the first thought in your mind to be, that fucker wasn't a saint. It's great. People, thank you so much for tonight. I've really enjoyed this. It's an absolute pleasure doing these streams. And I have been 42. You lot in the chat have, as always, been fucking amazing. Good night. God bless. See you all next week. I'm out of here. Goodbye.